This story right now is something that if you don't want to hear, I guess, anything graphic or anything kind of disturbing, I probably wouldn't watch this, just because I feel like it is kind of brutal. But this is the very real story of why I joined the military, and to give you guys a reality of what made me actually join, because this is something I've never told you guys. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another military video for all your military video needs. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's roll right into the topic, and that is the truth as to why I joined the military. And this is not like, oh dude, I just wanted some benefits, man. I just wanted to make sure I did something with my life. It actually kind of rooted much more in depth than that. So everybody's got a sad story. I don't think my story is much more sad than anyone else's, but I want to tell it because it's part of reality for me as to why I've joined. And yes, let's move on. My mother's probably gonna watch this. This is probably just click away. If I were you at this point, just click away, please, because we've already discussed it, and I'd rather not, because yeah. So growing up, I had a stepdad and my mom. My mom was doing a lot of pills and stuff like that because during the 90s, there were a lot of people that were taking opiate medications at this time. She had a lot of back pain. So what they do, they hand her the narcotic medications, which she ended up getting hooked on. Now on top of that, I had a stepdad, which was a Desert Storm Marine Corps veteran, which decided he was gonna marry my mother with 4 kids. Kind of crazy, right? Looking back, weirdly, looking back, like, I don't know who would do that, to be honest. I don't think I would have the courage or balls to do it, but all power to him. Just kind of like the basis of the story. There's a lot of resentment from him towards the kids. Growing up, everything was transactional to the point of he would make us pay for rides to and from work. Like, if we didn't have a job at 14, 15, or some way of making money, it was like, what are you doing with your life? And pretty much we were told, join the military or work really hard. And I don't think that I was too happy with that, because looking back now, there was no emphasis or push of education, any kind of stimulating in that sense. Well, anyway, it was my senior year. I didn't live with my parents at the time because I lived with a friend. My stepdad had gotten a new job in North Carolina in Fayetteville. I stayed in Maryland where my family and my friends were at, pretty much. But mind you, it's kind of weird. I didn't stay with any of my family even though I was up there, which may have probably been a better idea. But yes, I ended up staying with one of my friends I knew from childhood. Anyway, I thought it was going to be a good idea to take me and my girlfriend down to North Carolina once I graduated, because it was kind of like, you got to get, the situation there with my friend Saxon was not too good either. It was just like an immature coming to life where we butt heads as well. And so that sets up the story of me going to North Carolina. Now, I had no plans after high school. I didn't apply to colleges, community colleges, nothing. I didn't really have any tools, and I didn't have much guidance either. And I was kind of upset looking back now at my parents for not really helping out with that, other than just say, hey, go work hard. I work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever else, when that's really not the right answer. The answer is go get an education or go get some kind of trade school. Anyway, I'm in North Carolina, and my girlfriend comes with me too at the time, and we decided to live with my mom, where we were like, okay, we're just gonna kind of get on our feet, figure this out. My mom made it sound like a fairy tale. It really wasn't, and this is because I had a stepdad that just literally was harping on us every single day, every single second, why we weren't doing something. And mind you, I'm 17. So I moved down May time frame, and I think it's like June, July, like a month later, we're already talking about rent, and I'm not even 18 years old yet. Frustrating because you're like, we're family. Like, I don't think that like setting aside money to go to you to rent out a room, mind you, it wasn't even a room. Yes, that's correct. I was sleeping in a living room. And remember how my mom was on those prescription pills? Well, anyway, she would be up through all hours of the night for some reason. I don't even understand why. My mom was almost like a obtainer of stuff, if I could say that. It wasn't like a hoarder situation. She just had a lot of stuff. Well, anyway, what ended up happening was, if I wanted to move into a room, I had to move this stuff. Every room was filled up, so I had to move stuff one way or another. And so I'd say during the day, oh, can I move some of the stuff out so we can move into a room and not be out in the living room exposed to everything? Me and my girlfriend at the time. Anyway, she's like, no, I'm tired. Don't you think that I'm trying to rest until Steve gets home? Anyway, Steve gets home, she wakes up, and then they hang out for the rest of the night. And then Steve goes to bed for his work day the next day. But no, my mom stays up and watches TV all day. And she doesn't watch, she doesn't have any job. So really, that's just all she's doing. Anyway, what ends up happening is I never get to move into this room after a few months because literally she's sleeping during the day waiting for my stepdad to get home, or she's up in the middle of the night in the living room, which I'm trying to sleep in, while she's there watching TV on DVR and America's Got Talent or whatever else is on TV. So literally it's coming to a point where me and my girlfriend at the time had jobs, and I had a part-time job at Barnes & Noble's in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I know someone actually, a subscriber that lives there and does that same job. Very weird. But yes, that was my job. And so anyway, it just escalates because my stepdad is just pissed off. Like, he literally walking around my house was like walking on eggshells. If I could say anything that was so true, was that. And I say this in regards to, you just did anything not to piss this guy off. And some days it didn't even make sense what would or would not piss him off. And one of the things that I want to also let you know of the environment I was in was, like, even making food, for example, was the idea that you would cook on a stovetop. I was told, oh, you cannot. I had to bargain for 2 days, 2 meals a week. That, mind you, there's 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, 21 meals that you can make. I bargained for 2 days in which I could cook on a stovetop, an electrical stovetop. Like, well, why would that be the case? And that's only because I was told it would heat the house. Yes, I do understand that my parents were not in the best circumstances at this time, but to go as far as trying to save money by not cooking food on a stove to not heat up the house is insane. And I say this because literally if I could have you go back into this house, you would say this place is ice cold in the middle of summertime. And literally if you walked outside, your glasses would fog. That's how cold it was inside the house versus outside. So I ended up getting into the Navy DEP program, and I remember my mom saying, don't tell anyone I signed this paperwork for you. And I honestly think that was her trying to feel that she was being better about it. But I don't think it was a bad thing. I think she honestly knew it was better than whatever situation I was going to be in, that me going to the military was going to teach me something, and it definitely did, which is why this channel is even a thing. Anyway, what ended up happening was one night we get into an argument of, I guess my girlfriend or whatever at the time did something. It was just literally, they would try and narrow in on her every single argument. And literally my parents are the kings and queen, or whatever you want to call it, of marathon lectures. Literally hours. My brothers and sisters. Well, anyway, what ended up happening was the fight just escalated, and I tried to defend her because I was like, you guys keep ganging up on her, stop, and just escalated. And mind you, my stepdad, that's the Marine Corps vet from Desert Storm and all that, he's definitely got an anger issue. Like I said, you walk like you're on eggshells. So literally this escalates to him yelling at me and my girlfriend at this time. At this time, I think to myself, well, I've got to get out of here. Like, this is done. My quality of life of living in a living room, I can't cook food. I'm working this dead-end part-time job at a Barnes & Noble Starbucks in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I'm in a delayed entry program for the Navy to get out of this situation. I just need to go somewhere because I have a little over a month until I finally leave for boot camp. I get in like an altercation yelling at him, and then my mom's outside and she's like, I'm gonna tell the police that you abused me, because she was trying to come in, and I was like, Mom, you're not listening. Mind you, she's choosing the side of my stepdad, and that was kind of the whole consensus of my childhood in this house, of the battle between our stepdad and the kids, and her trying to mediate whatever the hell was going on in that house, and whatever it meant to enable her to do what she had to do in life and take care of us, while also making sure she tried to make this guy happy. So what ends up happening is we get in this altercation, and I'm like, I'm done. And literally my mom's threatening to call the police, and she's saying that they're going to make sure that I don't join the military because I abused her. Well, at the same time, my stepdad has the awesome, I guess, ability to vent himself by saying he's going to chop the private parts off of my ex or my girlfriend at the time. Literally not kidding you, that was what came out of his mouth. So then my girlfriend at the time, she's calling her parents, which she's Mexican, so she's calling, talking in Spanish to them because she's angry and it's the only way she's going to communicate with her mother at the time. Obviously her mother's not the best, English speaker, but anyway, so my mom was like, why don't you just speak in English? Speak in English, huh? You're not going to speak in English? And I'm like, dude, what do you expect? Her family is Mexican. She's not going to speak English to people that can't understand English. Needless to say, we pack up as much as we can. Not much to really, pack up because, like I said, we're living in a living room, crammed everything, which I drove down a 95 Camry with as much stuff as I could, which we fit back into that car. And as we went to go drive back up, we stopped at the nearest rest stop, which we passed out for the night, woke up and just drove up. And I literally called my recruiter and I just let him know. I said, hey man, I just got in a huge argument, kicked out of my house. I gotta go back to Maryland. What can I do? At this point, he ends up telling me that it's no problem. They're gonna do a courtesy ship. I'm still under their program, but I still only have a month left. So I'll just go check with the recruiter up there. We'll talk to him, we'll set it up, and I'll leave from Baltimore instead of leaving from North Carolina. And literally, I don't know if I realized how crazy my situation was until I look back now as an adult at that level of what happened. I know many of you are trying to escape some situation possibly, or you've got a bad home life, bad childhood, something like that. I know maybe I look like that suburban white dude, but I've had my own troubles as well, and I think this is there. I've aired my dirty laundry, which I don't think is really anything bad because I wouldn't be here without it. So if you guys have any crazy circumstances of why you're joining or what's happening in your life, realize that I've done it, you're gonna do it. A lot of people are gonna grow from the military, and I hope you learned something from my story. But as always, if you guys have questions about the military, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.